Demà comença a Barcelona el Sonar 95, el segon festival internacional de músiques avançades i art multimèdia. Avui dedicarem tot el programa a aquest festival, el més important d'Europa pel que fa a les músiques avançades en tots els seus aspectes, des del tecno més discotequero fins a la música electroacústica. Sabrem què ens depara el Sonar a través de les explicacions dels seus organitzadors i també a través de vídeos dels seus protagonistes, com ara els Orbital, els Zone o els noruecs Biosphere. També intentarem endinsar-nos, encara que sigui per sobre, en totes les propostes d'art multimèdia i xarxes telemàtiques que ens oferirà el Sonar 95. Companys, el futur ja és aquí.
Orbital. Orbital són ara per ara la banda més important que hi ha a tot el món de música de ball. Diguem que són el primer grup que han fet el trànsit de lo que és l'escena 100% dance a lo que és el panorama del pop. És una banda que ha estat reconeguda com el millor directe de l'any 94 i que després de 4 discos són ara per anar, diguem, el grup més important dintre del panorama del pop més orientat al ball, no només a Anglaterra, que és el seu país, sinó a nivell internacional.
Flash never went off. 1964. 1968. 30. 26. You know you're playing with this? Yeah. One of the first records that I really wanted was the Jackson 5 Greatest Hits. So I was about 6 or 7 or 8 at that time. What I think is funny though is that my kid, who's 6 now, is really into Michael Jackson. And so it's like Michael Jackson has spanned 2 generations.
Shaq, Hula, Cabaret Voltaire.
New Order, early
New Order.
Actually, we used to really like those. The blend, the nice blend of guitars and sort of drum machines. Joy Division as well.
Not for me, really. Because we're brothers, we just used to muck around at home, you know, mess about. There's a few local discos to go to. We used to go to armed with, you know, a small bag of records and give them to the DJ and say, go on, play these, I know you'll like them, I'm sure everybody else will too. And quite often they put them on and nobody would like them apart from us, but...
Gave us a dance.
Yeah, yeah. We played live before we ever made a record.
And then me and Paul sort of sent our demo tapes out to and saw loads of record companies and things like that to no avail. And then me and Paul got so fed up with that, we said, well, let's try and make our own, you know, do our own record. We said, let's put our money together and release 1,000 records, and it became a bit of an anthem at that time.
Someone just remixed it, actually. Yeah. Totally sort of, you know, illegally bootleg sort of record. Remixed it in a sort of jungle style, so that any jungle DJs that want to play chime can now play it as a jungle version sort of thing, which is really funny, I think.
Halcyon, apart from being a track that we did, it's a drug, a housewife's drug really, for want of a better word. It's a sleeping pill, prescribed as a sleeping pill, but the side effects are psychosis. My mother, throughout my adolescence, was on it for about 7 years, which is a very nightmarish thing, really. She was actually doubling the dosage, and the doctor didn't even bother looking at the repeat prescriptions. And so it was hell on earth, really. When we did the track Halcyon, it reminded me of the Verian Valium sort of state-like feel about it. And it just conjured up a lot of sort of weird memories of my adolescence and growing up and trying to keep the mental stability within the family. Then we had John Peel sessions.
John Peel session, yep. Then we had Lush.
Oh yeah, Lush, yeah. was the idea of like having a car boots out, like the Potter's Wheel, almost an interlude, a musical interlude on something such as MTV, where you've got like in your face sort of videos and people sort of getting off of each other sort of videos and that sort of thing, and then the idea of having this sort of very down-to-earth sort of subject of car boot sales, which is very rife in last summer, and it was quite I don't know, it was almost a bit of a statement of the economic state, really, of people selling off all their bits and pieces, trying to make a bit of extra cash. I think we try to be very down to earth, actually, and not pretend we're something that we're not. And I think that's sort of very important. It's very important to us. We've always tried to do it live, like the best way we know, which is basically set up our studio on stage, a really basic form of that, and use a basic form of 2 little sequences. And what we actually do when we're doing live is very subtle for the audience to watch. We're pushing buttons and twiddling knobs and dancing around. And but the whole structure, we've got all the bits and pieces of our songs, but the structure is not there. We're just improvising on the whole structure. So you know, we can make a track last a minute or an hour if we wanted.
It's improvised electronic music, but not improvising in the sense that, like jazz, where you're playing the keyboards. It's improvising with the structure of the song, which, you know, it's a new way of a new way of playing live that goes hand in hand with the sort of new technologies that have come around. That's what I would say. Glastonbury.
That's great. The whole weekend was really brilliant.
Another level of nervousness that I've never reached before. I enjoyed
really
Glastonbury immensely, apart from we lost a snare drum in the first song, which was a bit of a worry.
No, yeah, it was a bit ropey at the beginning, but once you got into it, it was brilliant.
That was great.
And then when the IntelliBeams turned round onto the audience and you just saw them in like sort of squares, it was almost like squares of heads and things like that. But the strangest thing I felt, that normally on such a big scale you don't get much atmosphere from where we are to the audience, and but that wasn't true at Glastonbury. You really picked up the vibe and the feeling from
20-odd thousand people does give off a lot of.
But the distance from us and them was quite large. But normally it's hard to get into it, you know. But this time
a lot of people.
It was brilliant. I really got into it. We do prefer to be quite close to the audience, in actual fact, because it is more intimate and you can pick up a vibe, I suppose, for want of a better word, of what's happening, and you can tease the audiences as well. And like really, if you're really going for it, you can sustain that level and then just like drop it flat if you want. So if people are used to our records and we play a track live, it is more basic and raw because we're using more basic formats rather than the computer on stage. But that's what I think all live is about.
Now, snivelisation.
Yeah, snivelisation. I mean, it's just, I think it's people in general, the whole, you know, you look throughout history and you've got great civilisations that are totally wiped out. I just think we're another one of those, really. You know, in about however many years' time, you know, there's going to be a new evolution, and what we're doing at the moment is just going to be, you know, what were they, really? holistically, if you look at the world as a whole civilised world, you know, I don't, you know, we're far from it. Now, how can we be sitting here like making a video when there are like people dying in the thousands in Africa, you know, wars going on, you know, we're not civilised. We're just not civilised.
No.
Good night.
You say the other one.
And it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Good night.
Good night.